Gentlemen, welcome. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much.
So, gentlemen, the Bad Shepherds, you're not doing anything at the moment. You're basically spending some time... Are you doing a new record at the moment? I understand you're touring Australia next, then the UK.
That's in April, yes. Yeah, we should be there. Well, it's only 10 weeks away, isn't it?
Thanks, Ade. My life is now fleeting. It'll be Christmas soon. We'll all be fine. Obviously, you've worked in comedy a bit, Ade. You've joined Nightwish now, which is an amazing gig. Well done. But why do you keep coming back to the Bad Shepherds?
Because we really enjoy it. I mean, there's a moment before most gigs where we look at each other and say, "Yeah, we're in a band."
Yeah, and
it's still got that excitement, hasn't it?
It has, and the reason that we do the Bad Shepherds is purely for big fun, and we've got nothing to lose, and we've always had that as our tenet with this band, and now it's just me and Ed basically now, and we just do what we want, but our agreement is that just big fun all the time as much as we possibly can.
And what a band they were. Great 80s band. Big fun. So, Troy, but obviously your day job, as I say, is sort of Nightwish, and also with you, Ade, I've seen you play with the Bonzos, and I've seen you play with quite a few other bands as well. I mean, you keep saying it's fun, but I mean, obviously, there was a point we first jammed together and played together, but is there just an enjoyment in the music itself as well?
I think we getting too emotional now. We just kind of connect.
Yeah.
It's a joint expression of something that we both have, and it's probably a joint expression of us. It's just it's a joy in folk music, and it's a joy in the kind of source material that we use, and a joy in each other's company, and a joy in the kind of instrumentation. That's what it's about. And it's something quite unique.
It really is. We do have a spectacular time doing it, and we've been together now for 5 years, and we've ridden out a lot of storms. You know, we've been through a lot of members, and again, it all boils down to us being completely comfortable and in hot pursuit of the most fun we can possibly have with the music we love and with being musicians.
Yeah.
For those who don't actually know the source material, it's sort of a Celtic take on some sort of classic punk and some sort of indie rock and stuff. Was it? I like to think it was Neil Innes's idea that he kind of heard you jamming something and suggested you'd go that route.
I had the idea and I took it to Neil first. And he was the one who said, "No, you don't want me." We spent a weekend at Neil's house trying to work on it. He said, "What you need are shit-hot folk musicians." So I found Troy. I kind of knew about Troy because I'd seen stuff with Troy. I've seen him play with Nightwish in the Astoria, and so I knew that he played pipes, you know, in it, and wasn't afraid to play them in a different genre, and. We kind of met, and we found that we both had a joint love of Laurel and Hardy, and I kind of sealed the deal, really.
Yeah, it certainly did, because Ed called me up, and we spent an hour talking about how we were going to do it, or if we could do it, and if we really wanted to do it, and that segued into serious discussions about the power of Laurel and Hardy, and how important it is that the world. Everyone in the world is given a free box set of Laurel and Hardy. Otherwise, there's no future.
Otherwise, there won't be world peace.
Precisely said. But in that, we realised that we had to meet up and just at least get the instruments out and see if we could do this and pull it off. And we did. And when we started, it was rough and ready. We didn't really know where we were. But we knew that there was a kernel of beauty in there.
I think there's a thing happens sometimes in a partnership where you find out you have a lot of the same stuff in you, and it's always a great moment. And I don't pretend to be anywhere near as musically proficient as Troy. Although I'm getting better, but we understand what we're trying to do, you know. And we've had people in the band who are supposedly musically more competent, but they don't have the music in them. You know? And we just have this joint love of what we do, and when we're doing it on stage, we kind of just feel it's right.
That's absolutely true, and I mean, Ed's completely doing himself down there with his playing, but when we do play together, and when we react and co-react with the audience, we can feel that it was the best thing we possibly could have done, and also, as Ed says, the connection between me and him is deep and strong and permanent, and that's the way we feel about the music and about each other. So we just forge ahead, and we made a pact that we'll do it forever. We'll do it forever. Whenever the pair of us aren't doing what other things we do, because we both do lots of other things. Whenever we're not doing other things, we will do it forever.
Yeah. It's like a proper working hobby.
Yeah.
You said you obviously said you found love over Laurel and Hardy box sets, but I mean musically, where did you first meet? What were the kind of musical totems that you both kind of touched on?
I come from a folk and progressive rock background, mostly, but the new wave and some punk I was heavily influenced by too. Whereas Ade was very into the late 70s new wave boom and the punk stuff more than me. But at the same time, we've got a common ground in that we can see that the pair of them weren't kind of mutually exclusive as much as they seem to be.
I think, if anything, we found that
they're not.
The link between prog and punk, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
Which is folk.
Yeah, which is folk music. Yeah.
It is.
Absolutely. That's the link. It's folk music. I know that sounds a bit diaphanous, but it's true. That is what it is. And we realise this. So when we set about deconstructing these fantastic songs like the Jams Tube Station at Midnight, Down in the Tube Station, it becomes very much in the spirit of prog, but totally in the spirit of punk as well, and does form some kind of lovely, gorgeous bridge between the two. They become musical, and the lyrics are brought out, which was something brilliant that Ade was specific about when we started.
And we only do songs that sound right coming out of my mouth.
Yeah, because Ade, I mean,
I'm in my late 50s. You can't start singing "Ooh, baby, I love you."
Yeah, he'd look like a buffoon if he did that, and but he did go deeply into that, and I totally agree that it was the right thing to do. And as a consequence, something magical happened with some of these songs. You know, deconstructing songs, Pistol songs. When you sing Anarchy in the UK the way Ade does it, it gives it a completely different atmosphere, and it becomes something different. And that's the exciting thing about what we do for me.
I think it's just amazing how brilliant those songs are.
Yeah.
I know other people have said that, but they are adult songs. For a bunch of 17 to 18-year-olds to write those lyrics in the era when they wrote them is extraordinary.
I think actually as well that, I mean, a strong song is a strong song no matter what you do with it. You should be able to take any good song back to acoustic guitar and basics, and it should still endure. Do you know what I mean? It should still sing to you.
Well, I would disagree with a lot of rock. A lot of rock is quite teenage, and the lyrics are quite infantile.
Whereas progressive rock, that's a different...
It's nonsensical.
Yeah. Well, you said it.
Oh, it's my show. I can say what I like. So you've brought a song into play for this gentleman at half-time, as it were. What would you like to play?
Well, this is a song that actually does exactly what we're talking about, isn't it? It's folk and it's prog, and it gets a bit punky at times, and it's... Well, we can't play all of it, but it's Thick as a Brick by Jeff the Hotel.
Really don't mind if you sit this one out. My words but a whisper, your deafness a shout. I may make you feel, but I can't make you think. Your sperm's in the gutter, your love's in the sink. So you ride sails over the fields, and you make all your animal deals, and your wise men don't know how it feels to be thick as a brick. And the sandcastle virtues are all swept away in the tidal destruction, the moral malaise. The elastic retreat rings the clothes of clay as the last wave uncovers the newfangled way. But your new shoes are worn at the heels, and your suntans rapidly feel, and your wise men don't know how it feels to be thick as a brick. love that I feel is so far away. I'm a bad dream that I just had today. And you shake your head. You said it's a shame. Spin me back down the years and the days of my youth. Draw the lace and black curtains and shut out the whole truth. Spin me down the long ages, let them sing the song.
And welcome back to the show. We just played some Jethro Tull as chosen by the Bad Shepherds. Now, you just said there, A, that it was a mix of, what do you say, it was punk and prog? And a bit of folk too?
A lot of folk.
But why choose that?
It's just one of my favourite ever songs. It's something I still play. It's still kind of very exciting. I love those kind of huge darting chords that come in and just kind of frighten you. And you still can't quite ever work out where they are.
When you're trying to play them. Yeah.
I did I'm going to blow my own trumpet. I did a little gig with Ian Anderson just before Christmas where we played Jack in the Green, which has got a weird ending on the end of every line. It's either 1, 2 or 3 beats to the bar. And it's just insane, isn't it? Yeah. And it's great when it happens, isn't it? It's just shocking.
Brilliant. I love Tull. Yeah, again, this was a common ground for me and Ade as well, because we both loved that early Tull stuff. I mean, Songs from the Woods, one of my Desert Island discs, and Heavy Horses, that era, because the folky side of Tull was more to my liking. But I did love it up to Broadsword and the Beast.
I think Heavy Horses is a massively overlooked Tull album. It never gets kind of featured in the canon when people talk about Tull. It's quite odd.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think it's the most underrated of all Tull albums. I think it's a brilliant album. And around that time, Anderson was, produced Steel Eye Spans Now with a 6th album as well at the time. So it was very much the English folk rock scene. And it was a magical time, I think, for Tull.
Fair to say, you like the obscure albums of most people. Like your Pink Floyd favourite is Metal, isn't it?
Metal or Animals, yeah.
Which isn't most people's first choice.
No, not really.
Wish You Were Here.
Yeah, usually, or Dark Side of the Moon. Yeah. But yeah, it was that with Tull, Heavy Horses. I'd say that's my number one.
No, I think Heavy Horses is a fantastic album, and we should play more on the show, and we will. I'm just talking about sort of albums that kind of struck a chord to you as teenage boys. Then, can you remember when you first used to go to record shops, as I'm sure we all did, and what kind of first albums not the actual first albums, but the first kind of few albums that really struck a chord? You know, music changes, I think, when you're about 14, 15, and means something different for the rest of your life. Were there ever those albums with you that touched you both personally?
I mean, Led Zeppelin 4 was the hugest album of my teenage years, I think.
Yeah, that's quite a good call, Ade.
Yeah, but it just was. I mean, and it's bizarre looking back on it from where I am now in the Bad Shepherds, where we play a lot of mandolin, and I play the mandolin, is the fact that it's just so folky. It's just immensely folky. Yeah, and I always thought it was the heaviest rock album ever made.
And it's not.
But it's a folk album with a drum beat. You know.
Well, it even features Sandy Denny, doesn't it? Yeah. Sandy Denny's on the Battle of Evermore, yeah. So very folk based there, yeah. And you?
Well, it probably sounds cliched now, but at the time it wasn't, because I was only 10 years old when I got it, but it was Dark Side of the Moon. When I heard that, it changed everything for me. And that's, before that, I was buying, Crocodile Rock by Elton John and Waterloo by ABBA, and then Dark Side of the Moon.
Not bad records.
Not bad records, I'm not saying they are, but when that's what made me realise that there was a completely brave new world of music out there that wasn't all about my baby, or all the usual subject matter of pop songs, which is sex and self-pity, basically. every song in the world is about sex or self-pity. So Dark Side of the Moon, it really changed things. So I'd say that's my most formative record.
You just talked about, obviously, the way you two both deconstruct songs. Have you ever approached a song and it just hasn't worked at all? And a song you kind of loved and gone, oh no, this is toss. Yeah.
No, we've done loads. It doesn't mean they're toss. It just means they didn't work. We didn't find a way into it. I mean, the way we love the way we work. we generally go to the pub and we come back and we talk about songs we used to love and try and work out why we loved them.
And then you open a bottle of fine wine and then we talk about more.
And then we talk a bit more.
Yeah.
And then we start, without ever looking at chords or listening to the original, we start trying to work out a version of it without reference to it.
That's right.
If that's possible.
And it must be said, we've had more successes than failures, you know, with source material. Yeah, generally, we can tell within the first half an hour.
I remember really being close to giving up on making plans for Nigel.
Yeah.
After, you know, it felt like a day.
That's right, and that's
we've
one
been
of our
working
best.
on it. And it's
best
one of our
songs
best we ever did. I don't know how we eventually came up with it. Just something clicked at the end, and it doesn't sound anything like the original. But it has all the power of the original. It has the meaning of the original.
Yeah, I think making plans for Nigel is one of, I think it's one of our most, I don't want to use the word progressive, but it is one of our more colourful arrangements, I think, the way that song turned up. Because it did start where we tried it basically, and then something happened. I can't remember how we did it, but we were just sat in it was in some venue.
No, it was in Devon, in front of that oil heater. I remember that little line coming up down there. Yeah. But then we were playing Yeovil the next day.
That's right.
And that's when it sort of came.
That was when it came out. Yeah, okay. But that is one of our favourites. Making plans for Nigel. Fab.
Yeah.
And one final question then. Who comes to see the Bad Shepherds then? What kind of audience do you get? A lot of young ladies?
It's full of mostly nubile young women, yes.
Yeah.
We have to beat them off with a stick. That's what they like, apparently.
Yes, they love it, as you say. Our audiences always look like a pre-Raphaelite painting. Yes.
But who does show up? Is it kind of earnest older punks, or is it the folk audience? Or is it a bit of both?
Well, it is a bit of both. And we do get...
I think some people get the idea.
Yeah.
You know, it's punk songs played by a folk band, not as a gag. And some people get that, and they come. I think that's who we play to, generally.
That's right.
I think there are some extras on either side, but we don't get many folk Nazis, do we?
No, we don't. We did at the beginning, because we would do quite a few folk festivals, and the folk Nazis would come out and hate us, as they would. But now we've kind of found our niche, and we've got an audience.
I think there's a lot of people who used to listen to punk who enjoy hearing the lyrics for the first time. Some people come up after a gig and say, "I didn't know that's what that was about."
Yeah,
you know,
Yeah, it is.
you know, because they've heard it in a certain way. I remember we had, what was his name, J.C. Carroll from the Members, played with us once. And came on and played accordion, as all punk stars do. Yeah. And because he'd written "Sound of the Suburbs," and he said he loved our version. And I don't think he was just being diplomatic. He said when they used to do it as kids, their main aim was to get off with girls in the audience. So of course they jumped up and down and gave it a lot of this, and he said it was completely contra to what the song was about.
Yeah.
You know, which is about how awful life is living without any hope in the suburbs.
Yeah, in the suburbs.
It is a class acting kind of dissatisfaction of the youth, isn't it? Yeah. But instead you're using it to try and pull girls. Yeah. Well done, the Members. Well done. And gentlemen, what is next for the Bad Shepherds?
Tour of Australia. We're off to Australia in April. We went there last year, and it was a howling success, and we were quite shocked. So we're back over there again. We've got a bit of a lineup change, so it's going to be just me and Ade, and possibly a percussionist. And then we've got a bunch of festivals throughout the summer.
Yeah. Tim Harris coming back on the double bass.
Yeah, we've got Tim Harris, a fabulous double bass player who played with all kinds of people. Bill Bruford's Earthworks, Steel Eye Span. He was in for quite a long time.
Quite proficient, isn't he?
He can certainly twonk his twonker.
Yeah, I've seen him twang his twanger.
And we're back to the audience again.
And he's really good at bass as well.
Yeah, so he's coming back for the festivals, and then we're going to go out and tour again towards the end of the year. Yeah. Another tour.
Of the UK, we hope, yes?
Yeah, so you'll have to come.
Okay. Oh, absolutely. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time, and we'll go out. What should we go out on? Pick a song. Pick a Bad Shepherd song.
I was going to say a song within a song by Camel, but no.
Let's do Sound of the Suburbs, since we've talked about it.
Yeah, Sound of the Suburbs. Or Making Plans for Nigel.
Oh, yes. We talked about that as well.
We did. You choose.
Making Plans for Nigel, everyone. Enjoy. Thank you, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Goodbye.
Nigel, we only want what's best for him. We're only making plans for Nigel. young Nigel says he's happy, he must be happy, he must be happy, he must be happy in his happy, happy, happy. In British steel, we're only making plans for Nigel. Nigel's future's good as sealed. And if young Nigel says he's happy, he must be happy, he must be happy, he must be happy in his happy. But he likes to speak, and he likes to be spoken to. Nigel is happy in his work. 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 We're only making plans for Nigel. We only want what's best for him. We're only making plans for Nigel. He just needs a helping hand. We're only making plans for Nigel. He has a future in British steel. He has a future in British steel. He has a future in British steel.
Whenever I play people, the Bad Shepherds, they're always surprised that Ade Edmondson can sing. I think he's quite surprised himself, actually. That was them with XTCs at Making Plans for Nigel. They'll be playing some festivals this summer. I suggest you check them out. They're actually a lot of fun. Really are. More so than you'd possibly think. Anyway, in the new issue of Prog magazine, Prog 42, there's an interview with the excellent Can, the pivot.